everybody, and welcome to another episode of Clarity in the Chaos as we attempt to bring some vertical clarity into the midst of our horizontal chaos. We have a saying we use in our family, and it goes like this: stay in your lane. And we use it to refer to a lot of different things, to your responsibilities that you have in relation to other people's responsibilities, comparison, and even on the highway. Stay in your lane. Don't look at what else or what's happening in someone else's lane. Don't look at what someone else ought to be doing, or don't look with envy at what someone else has. That applies across the board in life. Stay in your lane. Keep your eyes on what is before you. Keep your eyes on what God has given you in responsibility, in resources, and be faithful with that. He gives to each man as he wills, and he gives a measure of faith for us to stay in our lane and do what he's called us to do. So when we come to Proverbs 23, we find some verses that paint that picture for us, that help us understand the importance of having faith, trusting God for what he has for us, and believing that it is exceptional, that it is grand. So we come to verse 17. Look at 17 and 18 today. It says, "Do not let your heart envy sinners." In other words, don't look into another lane. Don't look into someone else's life and wish you had what they had. Don't compare yourself. Don't be jealous. Don't look at someone else's condition at where they are in this moment and compare it to the condition of your life in your moment. God has a time frame that he works in each person's life. And in this verse in particular, Solomon is encouraging his son, don't look especially at those who have no faith and be jealous of where they are. He goes on and says, but be zealous for the fear of the Lord all the day. So don't be jealous, but instead be zealous. Be zealous for the fear of the Lord. In other words, know that God has a time frame in which he works, and it is outside of and different from our time frame. He works from an eternal perspective, and he doesn't work in the same schedule and frame in which we might operate, or we operate, and he doesn't operate in the same way that we operate, but he is always faithful. When he gives a promise, there will be a reward. What he calls you to by faith will one day become sight. And so we hold to, with great passion, with great strength, what he has promised and what he calls us to, knowing God is faithful. And just because I don't see the answer, the reward, the resolve yet, does not mean that it's not going to happen. So God is faithful. God has a different time frame, and God always calls his children to trust. So it is a good thing when you get a promise, a hope, a dream, and a prayer, and you have yet to see it come to pass. We might think this hurts, and it does. We might think this is a weakness, partially is, but it is actually working a strength in you. It is increasing your dependence on him. It is decreasing your dependence on yourself, and it is growing the very character of Christ within you. So it is a great thing to wait on the Lord. As much as I personally do not like waiting, I don't like waiting in lines, I don't like waiting in traffic, I am coming to see that it is a great thing to wait on the Lord. It actually increases our strength and our character as we do. Now he goes on in verse 18, and he gives us a picture that helps us. He says, "For surely there is a hereafter." There's another time coming. There is eternity, and God works all the way through time and into eternity. Some of the greatest promises given to men and women of faith in Scripture were not fulfilled in their lifetime, but they were fulfilled and will be fulfilled in eternity. So we have to remember that. We have to keep a bigger picture perspective, and we have to play for the ultimate long game. And then finally he says, your hope will not be cut off. And the King James uses the word expectation, and it comes from the Hebrew word that literally means a cord, to be holding on to a cord, a rope. So you have this cord of hope, this expectation that you are holding to, waiting for the end of the cord to come to pass, waiting for the dream, waiting for the fulfillment, waiting for the promise, waiting for the prayer to be answered. He says, and you're holding to it. He said, that which has been given to you will not be cut off. You will not be let go, and you will not find yourself left hanging with the rope. You will find yourself holding on to a promise that will be fulfilled. I'm so encouraged, and I have to remind myself, God is the one who gave me the cord of hope to begin with, so he was in the beginning. God is the one who is waiting at the other end of that cord. He is the one holding it with me. I hold it with him, and he is the one that is in the waiting. He is the one who is with me while I wait in the process, and my hope and my expectation will not be cut off. So as you are waiting today, as we sit in a time of waiting in our culture, waiting for the next to happen, waiting for prayers to be answered, waiting for the dream to come true, wait with the expectation that God is the rewarder of those who diligently seek him. He will reward in his time, in his way. Stay in your lane. Trust him. For when you do, then you will have clarity in the midst of your chaos.